Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you a build that can easily beat the Elden Ring DLC in just a couple of hours. By dual-wielding Gargoyle Twinblades and landing clean jump attacks, you can not only deal massive physical damage, but also get bleed procs on almost every attack. See, when you land a jump attack with Twinblades, it hits the target 6 times, making it very easy to build up bleed and set off hemorrhage damage. Bosses die within a matter of seconds, even the hard ones. So if you're like me, tired of getting bullied for hours, throwing your controller around the room, and refusing to eat until you kill the motherfucker, then enjoy this beautiful build and put Radahn's bitch ass back in his place. Alright, now before we get started, showing you guys the build, if you don't know where an item is, or a weapon, or an armor piece, or a talisman, or a spell, whatever, just Google it. Okay? Google or the Elden Ring Wiki, which is the website that I use to look up stuff. They will tell you a lot more efficiently where things are than I can. Alright? Me going into the map and showing you guys where things are like this, no, that'll take way too long and the video would look super sloppy. So if you don't know where anything is, just type in the item and Google it. Alright? Alright. With that being said, this is the build. Okay? We dual wield Gargoyle Blood Twinblades. Alright? We infuse them with bleed, and we attach seppuku on both of them. Alright? Seppuku not only increases your blood buildup, but also increases your attack power, which is two things that we focus the build on as far as damage goes. Okay? So boom boom. And obviously we attack with power stance. If you don't know what that is, that's basically your light attack is normally RB or R1. Okay, the power stance attack when you're dual wielding will be L1, where you attack with both weapons. So if you don't know, now you know. Okay, and as far as the offhand goes, these are pretty much my buff weapons. We have a dagger here infused with golden vow. We put golden vow on this because the Ash of War golden vow, even though it's a little bit weaker, it doesn't require any stats, right? The spell golden vow requires 25 faith. And we want to save those levels for damage, not for faith, which we don't benefit from at all. So we put it on our dagger to save you know, some stat points, and it's just really easy to put on a dagger. Okay, and of course we're wearing a finger seal to make sure we can cast our incantation, which is Flame Grant Me Strength, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Those are our two buffs. Those are our two main buffs. Okay, as far as the armor goes, white mask, obviously, this buffs up. Whoops. This buffs bleed damage, or this buffs up attack power when blood loss occurs, and blood loss occurs immediately because we're proccing seppuku on both of our weapons. So blood loss occurs immediately before the fight, during the fight, and after the fight. Blood loss occurs all the time. So having this on will pretty much boost our attack power all the time. And of course, for our armor piece, for our chest piece, we're wearing the Raptor's black feathers. This boosts the jumping attack damage. And this build, we're pretty much jump attacking maybe 90% of the time. The only time you aren't is when you're like, I don't know, trying to finish off a boss, or, you know, fitting in some attacks in between dodges, something like that. But most of the time, if you can jump attack, you're probably going to jump attack, okay? And as far as the rest of the two pieces, the gloves and the boots, we're wearing the Rakshasa set, a new set from the DLC. I'm glad they added a armor set that just boosts all types of damage. Each piece boosts 2%, so we're getting a 4% increase here. Small, but still matters. The more damage, the better. You do take more damage when you wear these, but this is one of those builds that, you know, we're focusing more on offense and our defense, and our goal is to kill the enemy before it kills us. Okay, and as you saw in the intro of the video, that is definitely possible. All right. Talismans. The Claw Talisman, obviously, this stacks with the Raptor's black feathers, stacking your jump attack damage, making that damage go higher, and taking full advantage of the Twin Blade 6-time jump attacks. Okay? And of course, because we're landing so many hits in the air, let's say you land 3 jump attacks in succession. That is 18 attacks you're landing. 18. Alright? So, of course, we want to take advantage of landing consecutive attacks by wearing the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and the Millicent prosthesis. Now, unfortunately, to get both of these, they are part of the same quest line. You do have to do one new game plus, okay? But it's well worth it because these do stack with each other, and these also stack with the Thorny Crack tier, which is inside of our mixed physic, which I'll show a little bit later. But yeah, these items are probably the biggest damage boosters of the build when combined, okay? So, and the last talisman is the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Obviously, if you're wearing the white mask, if you're playing a bleed build, you're probably using the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which, again, we proc bleed before the fight, during the fight, and after the fight, so we will always have blood loss, increasing our attack power all the time wearing this talisman, okay? Next is our Physic, okay? So in our Physic, I'm running the Thorny Crack tier, obviously. Again, it stacks with Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, and it stacks with Millicent Prosthesis. So with all of them together, it's like a 30-40% boost in attack power, which is crazy. It's insane. So all that stacks with each other. But as far as the second tier goes, you really have options. Let me go and show you guys. Okay, for me, I like using the bubble tier because if you don't know what this does, it gives you a bubble and it pretty much absorbs the next attack, no matter how strong, right? It could be the boss's a single hit of attack, I should say, right? It could be the boss's strongest attack. All right, this will absorb it, and the reason why I use this is because, like I said, we're trying to kill the enemy before they kill us. So sometimes HP is a resource where you want to take damage so you can deal damage. For example, the second phase of the Radon fight, some of you probably have gotten there. He does this holy light summoning thing most of the time at the beginning of the fight, and the correct way to dodge it to take no damage is to run away. But he's staying still for like, I don't know, 10 seconds. That is like 2-3 jump attacks you can land, okay? So I put this on. As you can see, he's dead here. I'm in his map. This is my lair. This is my throne now. I am the Elden Lord, okay? So I put this on to pretty much eat that attack, take it like a sponge. And in that time, I was able to land 2-3 jump attacks, making the second phase not last longer than 10 seconds, okay? But we have options. Like I said, you can, if you're having trouble with stamina, you can use the Green Burst Crystal tier, also a great option, okay? You know, if you're constantly attacking, constantly dodging, all builds have stamina problems, and this would definitely fix that, okay? Another good tier, this is probably one of the more underrated tiers, the Opaline Hard tier, the Bubble tier's, you know, sister tier. It boosts all damage negation, and I believe that number is 15%. All damage, though, like physical, magic, lightning, holy, by the way, which is Radon's damage, or the Mikola Radon's damage. So this is a great defensive tier, and it lasts 3 minutes, just like your Thorny Crack tier. So it'll probably last the whole fight. If you want to look, this is probably the most consistent tier, I would say, out of all the ones. So yeah, that's a good one. And another good one, probably the number one offensive version. If you're confident that you're not going to get hit at all during the fight, then go ahead and use the Bloodsucking Crack tier. This adds 20% more damage. That is a big number, okay? The reason I didn't like it is because, listen, I'm not that great of a player. I get hit maybe once, twice during a boss fight on average before I kill the boss, okay? And if you get hit once while wearing this tier, it's super risky, because it already during the time you're waiting for an attack to dodge, you're already at like half HP because this thing's sucking your life away. And of course, you start the fight with seppuku already taking a good 50% of your life, you know. So I found myself constantly chugging down health pots when I could just be pushing damage. So that's why I didn't really run this tier. I ran it for a few bosses, but I just found it to be, you know, too taxing. I was drinking pots way too often and dying more than I usually do. But if you're a god like Ongbal or Gino Machino, you know, those YouTubers, I know them, they're very, very good at the game, then go ahead and wear this and add some more damage to your build. All right. There was one other good tier that I liked. that I actually used a couple times. This is the new tier. This is another new tier. Eliminates all stamina consumption. Now, this sounds great, but it only lasts for like 15 seconds. Okay, but I actually use this tier for the higher health enemies. For example, the dragons. The dragons have a shit ton of HP, like Bale, like Dragon Lord Placiduax. Okay, but it's very easy to land hits on them. All right, but by the time you're done landing hits, your stamina's all over and you can't dodge anymore. That's when I actually use this tier. This tier was very useful in killing the high health enemies. I didn't have to worry about stamina at all as soon as the fight started, and it gave me room to dodge, and it gave me room to attack a bunch of times. So this is also a great tier that people don't really know about yet. It's part of the DLC. But yeah, man. But for me, I chose the bubble tier because you know, again, I'm not that great of a player. I'm okay, but I'm gonna soak that one piece of damage to deal a shit ton of other damage. Okay. Last thing is probably our spells. So obviously we're gonna use Golden Vow. All right, you know what? I'll just show you the buff order. Okay, first we drink our physic. You know what I'm saying? Golden Vow lasts 45 seconds. Flame grant me strength. Oops. This lasts 30 seconds. Switch to our weapons. Two-hand the left one. Seppuku. Okay, blood loss attack. Switch to our main one. Dual wield. Boom. Now we're fully buffed, and the boss will die with power stance attacks like this. Boom, boom. 6 times. You could actually count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, anyway. So yeah, those are the buffs. Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength and 2 Seppukus. And I mean, this build is crazy. This build is crazy. And now I should show you guys the stats that I use. Now, these stats right now that you're looking at, obviously not everyone's going to be level 300, but this is probably the most optimized version with using the least points possible. Okay, 60 vigor. That's the highest soft cap for vigor. Okay, with that amount of HP, it's very rare to get one-shotted. Okay, 15 mind. I like to use 15 mind because it gives me about 100 mana. That's a comfortable cushion for me. Okay, and allows me to cast all my buffs before the fight, and you know, not having to worry about mana at all. It's a nice thing sometimes. Sometimes you have to rebuff during a fight, something like that. So 15 mind for me was good. Endurance at 50. Again, that is the highest soft cap for stamina as far as endurance goes. So I left it at 50. And strength, dexterity, and arcane all at 80 because that is the highest soft cap for each of those. With the most important stat being strength and the second most important stat being arcane. Strength scales with these Gargoyle Twinblades the most, and arcane obviously is mostly to scale our bleed damage. And this build is really 50-50 on both, but it deals a bunch of damage anyway. And of course 80 dexterity, just because the scaling on dexterity is pretty low, but it still adds a little bit of damage at the end of the day. So if we're min-maxing, we might as well max it too, right? And of course 15 faith to make sure we can cast Flame Grant Me Strength, which adds 20% attack power, I believe, and it also gives a little bit of stamina recovery, which again, all builds need. Okay, but like I said, not everyone's going to be level 300, so right now I'm going to show you guys lower level versions of the build. Okay, all right, so here's a level 161 build, basically half the level that I showed you of the original one. Still does a lot of damage, still is totally capable of beating the game, just a little bit less stuff than normal. Let's talk about it. Okay, so 40 vigor. That is the first soft cap for vigor. Still a bunch of health. You might be one shot though from a few of the bosses, but that's okay. Okay, just dodge. Just get good. All right. So 40 vigor, one of the soft caps for HP. 15 mind. Like I said, I like to be comfortable with my mana. 15 mind for me is the breakpoint that I like to use for almost all my builds to cast all my buffs. And to make sure I'm ready to go without having to use a mana pot. Okay, 30 endurance, another soft cap for endurance. 50 is the max, 30 is the second one. More than enough endurance to get the job done. You got to be a little bit more, you know, picky with your dodges and your attacks. You can't just spam everything, but 30 endurance should be good enough to go. 60 strength, again, another soft cap. 60 strength. The damage from 60 strength is really not too far off from 80. 80 is just the min-max portion. 60 will be able to get the job done. No problem. We don't put any points in dex. That is the least scaling stat for these weapons, the Gargoyle Twinblades. We do need 15 dex to be able to wield the Gargoyle Twinblades, but luckily we get that +5 dex from the Millicent prosthesis, so you don't have to worry about putting any points to dex there. No intelligence, 15 faith to make sure we can still cast Flame Grant Me Strength, and of course 60 arcane. Again, second soft cap, good enough. A little bit less bleed buildup, a little bit less physical damage, but 60 strength, 60 arcane will still be able to burst bosses down within a matter of seconds. Okay. And if you want to level up even more, you want to go even further than this, just make Vigor 60. Boom, boom. Make Endurance 50. Boom, boom. Make Strength 80. Okay. Arcane 80. And this would be the next, I guess, set of level ups that I would do. So at level 161, use the stats that I showed you just before this. At level 241, use these stats. And at level 300, use the stats that I originally showed you at the beginning of the video. Okay, so boom, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and hopefully some of this information was useful to some of you. I know it took me a little while to beat the DLC. I was not able to one-shot every boss. In fact, Bale and Radon in particular took me longer than I thought they were. You know, when the DLC first released, and I experienced just how hard Bale and Radon were, I was like, damn. FromSoft, whatever their company name is, they really made the most difficult boss in Elden Ring 1 when they made Millennia. Okay, with her waterfowl dance and her crazy ass Scarlet Rot second phase. And then they made the hardest boss again in the DLC when they released Promised Consort Radon and his fucking boyfriend Mikola. Okay, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they keep doing it. I will say a little bit of Radon's moves are a little bullshit because, you know, you can't see half of them because there's too much shit on the screen, and Mikola's blonde. But you know, people will complain. I've seen there are a little bit of mixed reviews on the Steam and on Reddit on the game's too hard, and yeah, it is, and it's supposed to be. Imagine they made a DLC easier than the original game. That would be a bunch of horse shit. But I can understand that, yeah, some of the moves are a little bullshit. But you know what? You just gotta keep getting good. You gotta keep fighting the fight, and eventually you get all the patterns down. That's the essence of Soul Game, baby. Okay? But luckily, with the build I just showed you, you don't even have to see half of the mechanics. You can just kill them before they kill you. Alright? And that's my playstyle. Okay, so most of my builds you're going to see on my channel are probably going to be heavily offensively focused. I do plan to make some tank builds, some magic builds, some weird builds here and there. But I think I will focus on the builds that kill before they get killed type shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, thank y'all for watching. I truly appreciate it. And if you want to watch some live gameplay of me doing some cool shit, playing some Elden Rings, doing some stuff, you can go on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kodakobe. I stream every now and then, not too often. I got a day job, I got a wife, you know what I'm saying? I got some shit I do throughout the weekends, like play some pool, you know. But I stream every now and then, so if you want to check it out, watch me do some boss deletion and whatnot, then go ahead and give that Twitch a follow. Otherwise, you can always just subscribe here, comment down below, help me out with the algorithms, you know what I'm saying, and get my shit up there. All right. The next build I'm probably gonna make is probably gonna be the Blood Fiend's arm build, Claws of Night, Impenetrable Thorns. There are a bunch of DLC builds and a bunch of old builds that I want to touch on and improve on, you know what I'm saying? So again, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in any of that, and I guess I'll see y'all next video. All right, peace.